The poll was conducted by Greg Stremple, an acknowledged expert in polling, who conducted polls for U.S. presidential candidate John McCain. But while that might be the case, the one he conducted between October 7th to the 18th, 2011 in Belize, featuring the responses of 1,008 voters, reflects some interesting findings. Before we get into the details of that, it is important to say that the poll was the idea of Glenn Tillett, the editor of the nation's newest newspaper, The Independent. Tillett did it with the backing of some anonymous financiers.
In terms of the independent newspaper, we are high-minded. We do want the kind of discourse and discussion that is fact-based, and which deals with the issues and less with the personalities.
Turning to the issues dealt with in the poll, they included crime and violence, politics, corruption, the economy, education, and the controversial Ninth Amendment.
What we found out was pretty interesting, which is people are very proud of their country here in Belize. They're very concerned about what they see as a peaceful, nice place to live is being wrecked by crime. And despite their concerns about the crime, their concerns about the economy are even higher. They are of two minds on the economy in the sense that they very much believe that foreign investment is critical to driving the economy. But at the same time, they want a watchdog on that.
There were some interesting responses in some instances.
And then who do you trust most to get Belize's economy going again? 37% said private companies, 24% said the PUP, and 20% said BARROW and the UDP. Do you have a favorable or unfavorable opinion of the UDP? 35% of the folks said favorable, 42% said unfavorable. A little worse than 1-to-1, and certainly a little damaged. And we asked whether you say you're a favorable or unfavorable of the Prime Minister. 32% said a favorable, 47% said unfavorable. We asked whether they had a favorable or unfavorable opinion of the PUP, and 42% had a favorable opinion, 37% had an unfavorable opinion, a slightly net positive, but again, close to 1-to-1. And so you see here that both the PUP and the UDP are in a tough position with almost as many folks either liking or disliking them in both cases.
The question that people were asked about the Ninth Amendment seemed pretty lengthy and leading, but Stremple said that this is a typical polling question. The findings show that 46.8% of the voters strongly opposed the passage of the Ninth Amendment. There were other interesting findings. For example, people were also more concerned about issues that are less discussed on the call-in shows, according to Stremple.
We asked what's the most important issue facing the country, and again, this is the top 5 responses from a coded open-end question. Number one issue at 38.9% was the crime rate, but when you combine the economy and the need for jobs, those two responses came at 49.9%. Then again, government corruption was at 5%, and education was at 2%. When we asked which of the following issues is most important to you and actually gave them responses, the country's economic issues, including more business investment, job creation, and the rising cost of living, was number 1 at 46.4%. Then fighting crime and drugs and gangs was number 2 at 39%. So it almost mirrored the open-end responses in terms of what people are concerned about. Then government corruption came in at 8%. So again, we're seeing a fairly consistent pattern here about crime and the economy being two top issues, far overshadowing what people are concerned about in terms of corruption.
The poll, according to Glenn Tillett, is the first of more to come, provided his newspaper can locate the funding for them. Belize has reached an era, he said, for polling.
I think we're ready for polling. I think as a society we are ready for polling. And I think it's very needed, it's necessary at this point. Otherwise, we're just dancing in the dark.
Reporting for Love News, I am Marian Ali.